Welcome to this panel on sustainability and innovation. My name is Erika Emanuelsson and I am the product definition leader for sustainability in CM1E. My role is both to define and push the sustainability area forward in the project. Today we will talk about sustainability and innovation. We will start by just shortly discussing what is sustainability. And then we will move on discussing and talking about the daily challenges and work that our panel members encounter and how we can innovate on this. We will talk for about 30 minutes and then we have room for questions. So please post your questions in the chat and we will get back to them. With us today, we have Alexandra Nordbjer, who is the Sustainability Manager at Lynk & Co International here in Gothenburg. Alexandra wrote her thesis at SEFT, investigating the role of employees in shaping the sustainability practice at SEFT. Next up is Anna Rosén from Lynk & Co Design. Anna is Chief Designer for strategic product and the original initiator of the SEFT Sustainability Forum. And with us today we have Lionel Belzons, who is the Innovation Product Owner for Sustainable Mobility. And finally, Johan Helsing, the former theme leader for My Sustainable Car and Senior Technical Specialist for Electric Propulsion Systems. You are all very welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Let's start with setting the scene for today's discussion. I would like to just shortly address the definition of sustainability and touch upon the triple bottom line. Sustainability is common defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And the concept of sustainability is often showed as composed by three pillars: social, environmental, and the economic, also known informally as people, profit, and planet. This is called the triple bottom line, and it's originated from the 1980s when environmental and social aspects were incorporated with the economic bottom line, which is refers to the profit or loss made by a company. So I would like to hear you elaborate a little bit on sustainability and the triple bottom line. Alexandra, what is your thoughts? Do we really need to hit the center here to have a sustainable business or a product?
Well, that's a very good question, but I would say the answer is yes. If we want to be truly sustainable, we need to incorporate all three elements of sustainability and find the balance between all of those. And that is a challenge, but that is where the big opportunities lie. It is easy to get caught up in the environmental aspects or only focus on the social, but you need to incorporate all three to have true sustainability.
Thanks, great. Any comments from you, Johan?
I think that companies normally take the economic part very well into consideration because of their shareholders and so. And so it's maybe more the environmental part that we need to improve ourselves on. And we sure need the social, the society to be along with the changes as well.
Lionel, how do you see that innovation can support and strengthen the environmental part, as Johan mentioned?
Yeah, I think that is a good question. The innovation can support by developing a new business model, I think, beyond other also. I think as Johan mentioned before, we are used to a certain business model where the end user is paying extra for the cost of sustainable solutions. But now we need to find maybe other business model, other way to support this cost in order to be even broader with the sustainability.
Thank you. And Anna, as a designer, how do you see on the environmental part of the triple bottom line? What can you do to support?
I think that I mean, we can't really wait for all of these to come into effect immediately. I think we have to accept that this whole process is a process and that we have to take it in steps. So more or less, we can't wait. We can't discard perfect or discard good because of perfect. So I think what we are trying from design point of view is to embrace these small steps that we can take, because it is, as I see it, a snowball effect. The more we talk about it, the more we do, the more we can talk about it, the more we can do, and so on. So yeah, we just have to start and keep going.
That's good to hear, Anna. We will move on to talking a little bit more about the daily challenges you meet in your department. And Anna, do you see a greater focus on sustainable design solutions in the recent years, or?
Yeah, I mean, we actually see a big shift. Just comparing to 5 years ago, a lot of things have happened. And some things that I mean, when we talk about sustainability, it's not something absolutely new for us, and not for you either. From a design point of view, how the work we do is about adding value to a product. It has to do with creating value for both user and for the producer. So it's a balancing act to be able to do something that has value, not just when it goes out to market, but that is sustained over time. That is sustainability. So it has always been important for us to do appropriate products. Then the whole trend research that we do when we look into the future, that is a way for us to come out with appropriate products that will be interesting 5 years down the line. So in the research that we do, I can just say that we see a big shift. Some of those markets or that we see now that are faster in adapting to trends, like fashion industry or food industry even, they are really going towards this area quite a lot. And we even see brands like Burberry and Prada using recycled materials, recycled plastics even. So yeah, it's a big shift. What we also see is, and I think this is very interesting from the consumer's point of view, is that we are sort of leaving behind, or not 100%, but we're going away from a consumption pattern that has to do with your purchasing or consumption representing the size of your wallet, towards consumption representing your values as a person. So the way to express success might no longer be in these status symbols and power symbols, but more of lifestyle choices and values. And that really affects the automotive industry, I think, because we are very much a status symbol type of industry. So that's why it's also taking a little bit longer for us than other industries, perhaps. But we can also see how it used to be really good to show a shiny facade and be a proud car company. Now it has a lot more to do with being transparent and show how things are made. So you sort of open up the way you do things and expose it to your customers. And we don't see car companies say car companies anymore. They say mobility provider. And I just think that is a very interesting shift as well. And just before I finish, I just want to say also that with all the suppliers that we meet now, we also are meeting a lot of new materials, new technologies that are more sustainable, which is super interesting. And that feels very positive going forward, because we see more and more. And the more is out there, the more we can get, and the prices will of course go down. So it's a very positive change that is happening also in the supply chain. And also this storytelling, which I think Alexandra and I have in common when we have to create a story for the customers, that we have something to talk about. And today, one of the best stories out there in any product is the sustainable story. And it's really cool, I think, that a plastic that used to be trash, it has a history, and that history makes it valuable today, which was something that it was trash just a couple of years ago. So I think it's a very big shift, and it's a very interesting shift.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, what you described is really shifting the industry and shifting a lot of brands. I will let you comment, Alexandra.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to add to what you were talking about there, Anna, regarding the shift in mindset of consumers moving away from cars as status symbols and expressions of the size of your wallet. And that is really something that we have seen as well. And when you look at our business model, it is sort of based on 3 societal megatrends that we have seen from the beginning, and those are the move from ownership to experience, where the experience is much more important than the ownership of a product. And then we also have the connectivity, and the third megatrend is sustainability, and how the consumer awareness is just ever increasing, and it's going very fast. So I think that is really driving the change that we are starting to see now in the industry. And I agree with you, Anna, that it is very motivating to see how things are moving along, and how the whole industry is now waking up to this new reality where sustainability is not something you do for marketing, but it is actually something that is integrated into the core values of the company, because that is what customers care about as consumption becomes more and more value driven. So I totally agree with you there. And I think that the business model of Lynk & Co with month-to-month membership and sharing incorporated in the business model is the future, and appeals to the mind of those consumers of today and tomorrow.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, it's very interesting with this consumer shift. And I wonder, Lionel, how do you see that innovation is really addressing the shift of the consumers?
Yes, yeah, I think that is again it's all about business model. Again, we know that there is the environmental friendly solutions. We know what they are, more or less. But very often until now, the solutions are only for some of us. It's not for all of us because of the cost. Today, the sustainable solution is still or environmental friendly solution is still a higher cost than the current one. So again, we have to work on the business model, find a new revenue stream in order to bring those solutions to more people. And that is for me the main issue. Very often today also we are facing this situation where when we are talking about sustainable solution, people see sustainable as the environmental friendly solutions. They see only that there is a added cost for that, and that doesn't need to be like that. We need to find again new revenue streams, new business model in order to make it more available for more of us, many of us. That is also the innovation, the work of the innovation, to make it to find new ways to make it available.
Thank you. I wonder, that's very much connected to consumers, mobility, and when we have the actual vehicle, Johan, we're going for BEV in the future. How do you see what is the greatest sustainability challenges moving forward with BEV?
To a large extent, a lot is already solved in basically, so to say, because the main challenge with the automotive industry today is that it's so highly dependent on the fossil fuels. And that is that we know is the main thing we need to overcome, and we do that with the BEV. But having said that, of course, there are the vehicle as it is today and what we add with the battery. That is, of course, what will be the most noticed as we come with a big battery, which was not there before, when we replace the dependence of fossil fuel to a battery. So that will for sure be in the center, together perhaps with the electric drivetrain. I think we can improve on the base, the rest of the car as well. And what I think, from where I come from, the technical side, so to say, I think the main part here is that CEFT understands how to actually measure one sustainable solution from another and say which is the more sustainable design or solution. It is not contradictory in what you have said before. It's just that we need that complement to have the fact-based background, so we know that when we market a solution that it actually is more sustainable than the old one. And so that is to build up these methods and tools to judge on sustainability, to actually measure. That is my input to this one. And that there we really need to learn.
Definitely. It sounds like you're talking about LCA, for example, life cycle assessment.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Lionel wants to comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a comment on that. Is the BEV is obviously a solution to improve the issue of the climate issues and so on. But something more need to be done. It's and I think it's shared mobility. It has to be also addressed to for the future of the transport sector. If you combine the BEV and the shared mobility, then you get something even better, and that can also bring again those sustainable solution to many of us. And how to do that is, shared mobility is still quite a new concept, and then we need to try, and that also is the purpose of innovation, to try new ways and in order to hopefully find the right ways.
Thanks, Lionel. I will give the word to Alexandra directly.
Thank you. I just wanted to with the sharing, and I totally agree. Even if we have electric vehicles that have no tailpipe emissions, which is of course a big step forward, we see today that old cars are only used on average 4% of the time, and 96% of the time they're standing still. And that is not an efficient use of resources. So I think if we can utilize the sharing to increase that utilization of the great products that we bring to the market, that will have an even greater impact. And then we can also, as you say, with bringing these solutions to a wider category of people, we also address the social and economic aspects of sustainability, where business models and new revenue streams that are not based on putting more cars on the market. And then I also just wanted to point out that I think with the move to BEVs, we will, as we progress in the sustainability development of our products, we will shift the focus to new areas where we have a footprint that we maybe have not addressed yet, such as particle emissions from tires and brakes. And we also have the social aspects of human rights in our value chain that become more relevant now when we move to more and bigger batteries.
Thanks, Alexandra. I will let Anna comment.
I just want to comment. I totally agree with the new business models having a big effect on our industry. But we also have to consider when we say we want to raise the time the car is in use, that will also put wear and tear on all parts of the car, and we cannot expect the same lifespan on these products. So if that would be the goal, then we have to also adjust all of our engineering and design approach according to that.
Thank you. I think about, would you like to add something, Alexandra?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I agree with you there, Anna, and that I see that when we move into this new business models, the product innovation and development becomes essential, because we need to find these new innovative solutions and materials that fit the new business models, and where we can address the sustainability issues from both angles, because now we have talked a lot about the importance of new business models, but that also goes hand in hand with product development of the actual hardware.
Thank you, Alexandra. I hope we can address even more innovation subjects. I will just give the word to Johan.
Yeah, just a short comment about the sharing of electric vehicles, because my view is really that the materials for batteries in the nearest 10 years or so will be a scarce resource. So it's not only that it's maybe, so to say, environmentally tricky to get all this up from the ground, and so it's also that to get this emission-free driving for more people fast enough, then the sharing could be good also for that, because the electric vehicles can only come out with a certain pace, so to say. Not that it's predefined, but it's clearly limited. So those electric vehicles which come out and with batteries which probably survive more than one vehicle life, so to say, they should be utilized more. So I fully agree with the Lynk & Co statement there.
Thank you, great. And when it comes to these new business models, sharing mobility as a service, subscription, I think we really have the possibility to innovate and to be disruptive, because we can connect it to software upgrades and apps and nudging people's behavior. Alexandra, what are your thoughts for future innovations?
Well, as I said, I see it as a sort of joint development between how we use business models and how we can guide customer behavior, along with how we develop our products to be more sustainable and have a smaller footprint. And I think that the software solutions holds a lot of potential to educate consumers because sustainability is a complex area, and to really get that understanding, and for us to be able to be transparent about what we do and the attributes of our products and our operations. And there I think the design element is very interesting when it comes to sort of shaping customer preference. How can we introduce new materials that drive interest and demand for more sustainable products?
Thank you. Lionel, please comment.
Yes, we're talking about the shift also from what we have today in terms of mobility to what we see the shared mobility coming. That will put a lot of stress and question around the hardware, the vehicle itself. Obviously, the ones that we have today are not designed for this purpose, for the car sharing purpose. So that is completely new, and that is really something exciting, but also something that we need to spend more time and try to really identify how we should do and the way we should design those vehicles. Because again, as you said, Alexandra, a car which has been designed for being on the park 95% of the time is not really the same as having a shared mobility service. And you have to, because of the cost of the battery and the car itself and so on, you have to be in the business model. You have to share this hardware. So there is no other way to solve the equation.
Please go ahead, Alexandra.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to just connect back to what you said, and also to what you said before, Johan, regarding battery materials becoming even more scarce in the future. Because one thing that we have not mentioned so far is circularity, which is a growing trend within sustainability and really a major area for innovation. And as materials grow more and more scarce, and as we move away from this sort of traditional linear flow of making a product, selling it, and then disposing of it, to really use our innovation capacity to both design for more use, but also to design for circularity, and how can we actually move away from this linear approach of take, make, waste, and to close the loops.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Johan, do you want to comment on that? And also,
yeah,
if you have some advice for the engineers to be more innovative.
Oh, sorry. I was going to comment one thing first about but first an answer to Alexandra. I think that looking at how the vehicle industry, automotive industry is in focus from legislators, and so I'm quite confident that the batteries of electric vehicles, it will be in the focus for regulations and so I'm sure we will see circularity. Maybe there will be some bumps in the early years here, but I'm just that will be so much in focus. And I just wanted to add one thing which into the topic of electric vehicles and sharing, that the charging of the electric vehicles, if they are parked 96% of the time, the charging is normally not a big issue. Private owner, you have it, hopefully a place to charge overnight, but the more we do the sharing, the less the time for charging. So it doesn't look like batteries will be the thing that we charge up in 3 minutes, like when we fill up our tank. Instead, we need to have intelligent systems, so to say, so we do a good planning. So we see when is there an opportunity to charge, where is a place, is it a free place, let's go there and charge, perhaps even automatically. I just think that SEF needs to improve ourselves also here. When we're going to BEVs and to autonomous vehicles, sharing, already with sharing, we need to be better on understanding when they are going to be charged. Sorry, Erika, you had a question as well.
We should wrap up within a few minutes. I would like to hear, Johan, do you have some advice for the engineers on how to become more innovative in their daily work?
Oops, more innovative. For myself, I often look on, it's so much things presented on the internet, daily news and everything. It's happening every week, every month you can read. So follow what is happening around us. And I would say that the two main things to think of to do more sustainable designs is to become less dependent on the fossil fuels and to be more energy efficient in your designs. That if you manage that, we have come quite far.
Thank you. Great advice. Anna, I will give you the last minute. The same question as Johan. How can we be more innovative?
It's a tricky question, of course. First, I can just say what we need from a design point of view. I have a firm believing that from a design and engineering point of view, we can do whatever if there's a business model and a market that wants this product. So this is not a matter of engineering or design problems. It's a business model problem, first of all. So we need to enlighten and teach our customers of what issues we are facing and talk about this more and more and more. I agree with you, Johan, to focus on lightweight from an early stage. That's something that we can all do to reduce resources. What else? I mean, if we are to think in short perspective or long perspective, it's quite different. I think if we are talking about innovation, then I think one of the most interesting areas is to consider how our products die. When we can always source recycled material, that's just buying stuff in the streets, right? So that's not really innovation or engineering in that perspective. I think that we shouldn't accept that these flow stops, so that these things cannot be taken apart after we have done our job in this product. So we have to consider how to take our products apart so that they can go back in the loop. That's a tricky thing, and we can't do it alone. I mean, we're part of a whole world and infrastructure that needs to be taking care of these materials. But for us, from design and engineering point of view, that's something we can focus on. That's the job we have to do.
Great. Final words. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Lionel and Johan. Now we will open up for questions from the audience. Okay, so here's the first question from Dag. I have read a lot about the batteries, that they will not be scarce resources. Johan, I will let you answer.
I've read otherwise. No, it's a little bit about the predictions. I think that it's so much focus on electrification now, so that the investments are coming. But I would say that the battery production in itself, that seems to be not the bottleneck, but more of the raw material. So it is a pretty slow dynamic, is my thinking, about how new mines can open and new metals can come up, and so I see it as a risk, or it depends on what pace you expect, of course. The thing is, I don't think that we will be able to have 100% BEVs in 10 years. That will not be possible, even if everyone wants BEVs. That's my point. But for sure, it can go a little bit faster or slower, depending on the market requests, but it's not the battery production, it's more the resources behind it. My thinking.
Thank you, Johan. We have a question from Eric. What's most important for our mobility customers with respect to sustainability? The product offer or the brand? And I will let Alexandra answer.
Thank you, Erika, and thanks for a very good question. I would say that you can't really choose either or. It's very difficult to have a sustainable brand without a sustainable product. Of course, we have our business model and that takes us a long way, but in the long run, I think that customers want to purchase from companies that have sustainability integrated in everything they do, both in their brand and values and business model, but also in their products.
Thank you. We have one more for Johan, I would say. Will we have electric hybrids based on other fuels, hydrogen, pure biofuel, in the future to provide cheaper alternatives? Or is full electric the only option that CEF will aim for in the future? If you can answer, Johan.
I don't know what CEF will aim for in the future, but in general, globally, biofuels is of course a solution which is already there. Today it's used more as a drop-in fuel. We could have 100% biofuel as well in the filling stations, but the thing is, it can replace something like 10% of the fossil fuel we use today, even if you are optimistic. So it can never replace. But hydrogen has a possibility to replace, that's for sure. But there we have to watch a little bit what happens in the world around us, because it will not be the cars which will drive the production of renewable hydrogen. It will be the other industries who are more relying on fossil fuels. Cars, battery electric vehicles is here and it's possible, but for sure it's not the only solution. I think there will be some parallel tracks with the battery electric vehicles as the main track.
Great, Johan, thank you. We have for Alexandra here, is there a risk that the 4% usage rate of cars are because cars might be utilized at the same time, such as rush hours, in the same way that our roads are? And how will Lynk & Co address that in such case?
That's a good question, and I mean, of course, there could be a risk of that. But I think also, I mean, car sharing is mainly used within urban areas. And I also think that especially now after COVID, where we have perhaps not so strict commuting routines as we used to have, and people live different lives with different habits and routines. So I think that that is not a major risk for us, at least. But of course, we need a critical mass of users that are willing to share their cars and that are willing to share in order to avoid those types of problems. And that is why we really encourage all our users to use the sharing function and to allow them to do that in a way that fits them, if they want to share with their closest friends and neighbors, or if they want to share with anyone, and to really make it as easy as possible so that we can have as many users as possible doing that to avoid those types of issues.
Thanks, Alexandra. We have a question from Ola. The 84 system consumes a lot of energy. Do we foresee that this will decrease drastic in the future? Johan, are you up for that question?
Well, it's not my specialty area, but what I know from electronic systems in general, they tend to, that they have been developing the last 30 or 50 years. So I think that will be the case for the ADAS 4 and ADAS 5 equipment as well. And as the range of the autonomous electric car will increase with improved technologies, I think it will be requested. So I'm kind of positive, but I don't know.
Thanks, Johan. I have to ask, Lionel, autonomous drive, is that sustainable?
Very good question. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, autonomous drive for me, it's a technology. It's actually several technologies together. So I think it's depending on the way you are using those technologies. There is a great potential to have autonomous drive as something for sustainability. But again, it's depending how you use it. So autonomous drive make it safer, the transportation, the mobility, but also you make it more efficient. So if you can manage to move people, same amount of people with less vehicle, then it's become sustainable. But if you just replace one vehicle by another one autonomous drive, then we just make it maybe more safer, but not more sustainable.
Thank you, Lionel. We have a question here for Anna. What kind of material can we expect in the future vehicles?
What type of materials?
What kind of materials? Yes.
What kind of materials? I mean, first of all, I think that we will continue to use a lot of plastics. I mean, the automobile has to be light, it has to be durable. Plastic is a fantastic material in that sense. If we can create circular plastic flows that and that we can also design around these materials so we don't have glue problems or layered different types of plastics that can't be taken apart. That is something that we need to focus on. Also the foam to create these soft surfaces, that can also be a problem. But what inspires me the most when it comes to these problems is that there are ways to go around it. And one super inspiring example is Adidas that actually made a shoe out of just one material. So it doesn't look like a sock. It has laces and it has a sole. It looks exactly like a regular sports shoe, but it's one material. And that is super cool. And things like this inspires us at design quite a lot. And also how we can make these things look, because of course you could probably come quite close to how things look today. But then again, if we want to make a story, if we want to have something to talk about, if we want to point at it and say, check out this thing, it's actually made out of, you know, then maybe we should make a special look. So it's always a balance as well. And one example I think is a good example relating to taking new big steps in sustainability. It's the whole BEV scenario that when BMW did the i3, they pushed the design quite a lot because they wanted to make a statement. That was not so successful because they did not get the customers to go along with this new type of vehicle. So even though from an aesthetic point of view, we were quite excited, it was really cool. They had done something quite different, but the customers weren't ready. They were a little bit too early. And then looking at Tesla, what they did was that they knew their products would be so expensive that they would have to compete with traditional brands like Mercedes and so on. How do you get these customers to jump ship over to this BEV market? Well, traditional design cues. So I think that's why you can see Teslas being quite traditionally designed from an exterior point of view, at least. So I think that is interesting, and that is a balance that we also discuss a lot in the design office on how far you push things, how much of a story you want to make, and how much of a just aesthetic focus you want to have. So it's always a balance.
Thank you, Anna. It was the last question we have time with. thank you for posting questions to us, and thank you so much to the panel, Anna, Alexandra, Johan, Lionel. Great work. Keep up the good work, I would say.
Really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.